Hello, Tuskegee University students. This is Dr. Griffin, and I'm here to discuss some major concepts covered in Chapter 16 of your textbook relating movement and muscle contraction. Here is an image of Allen Ailey dancers of the Allen Ailey Dance Company showing us a very real example of what movement is. In fact, what movement could be. Movement, as we know it, requires some displacement. And here they are both displacing not only parts of their bodies, but also their whole bodies against the force of gravity. To this to occur, they have to have very active and intact and well trained, if you will, motor units. The motor unit consists of the branches of the alpha motor neuron, mainly its nerve terminals, that innervate specific myofibers, the muscle fibers themselves. So again, the motor unit is the alpha motor neuron's branches and its associated muscle fiber. This is the building block, the Lego, if you will, required for movement. Here in this image, we see the axon of an alpha motor neuron synapsing onto two distinct extrafusal fibers. These will create motor units. Within the extrafusal fibers, if we were to peel it away as seen in this image here, we would see the intrafusal, intra meaning inside, muscle fibers. These intrafusal fibers are innervated not by alpha motor neurons, but by gamma motor neurons. In addition to having extra and intrafusal fiber types, there are also two major classes of muscle fibers found within our bodies. You might know them as white or dark or red meat, but they really refer to the activity, physiology, and cellular architecture of these two fiber types. The first being fast twitch fibers, which are known for rapid movements, and the second being the slow twitch fibers, required for more endurance types of activities. Fast twitch fibers have fewer blood vessels that will supply them with blood, contain less mitochondria as well as less myoglobin compared to the slow twitch fibers, which are known for high amounts of ATP production with their more mitochondria as well as their more myoglobin. What allows these muscles to move without us thinking about them? Think of if a pen were to come in contact with your hand automatically moves without any conscious thought. Why? That's because of our reflexes. Reflexes do not require any central input from the brain. The sensory information goes into the spinal cord and then immediately comes out to activate a motor neuron to cause the contraction of the appropriate muscles to allow us to remove our bodies from potential injury. As you can see, it is a loop. Sensory in, motor out to the muscle. That's it. No ascending columns, no dorsal column, medial lemniscal pathway. Just from the muscle, from the skin, into the spinal cord, dorsal horn, go through the ventral horn, motor, neuron, muscle. That's your reflex arc. And that is a true reflex. One type of reflex protects our muscles from being overstretched. This is the muscle spindle reflex that relies upon the activity of the sensory organ muscle spindle. In step one of the muscle spindle reflex, the muscle is stretching. That stretching that could occur and does occur in our muscle stimulates the muscle fibers, which are wrapped around the intrafusal fibers. This activates the sensory neurons associated with the muscle spindle, causing for the motor neuron in the ventral horn to be activated, causing for that alpha motor neuron to activate and cause contraction of the appropriate extrafusal fibers. This contraction of the muscle opposes the stretching, allowing for our muscles, particularly the intrafusal fibers, to become overstretched and become damaged from wear and tear. Another reflex protects our muscles from overloading. This is dependent on the Golgi tendon organ. Golgi tendon organs are exactly that. They are found in the tendons, okay, which are those cartilage tissue that attaches the muscle to bone. And the Golgi tendon reflex protects our muscles from being overloaded or excessively loaded by heavy items. Imagine if you were in the gym doing some bench presses. What if you load too much on the bar? You may, in fact, injure your body by letting go of the bar. But letting go of the bar is actually an example of the Golgi tendon reflex. If excessive force is loaded, the Golgi tendon reflex is going to cause relaxation upon that muscle that's being overloaded and protecting it from further and immediate tear. The neurons from the Golgi tendon organ fires upon overcontraction. The motor neuron for that muscle fiber is then inhibited, which causes the muscle to relax, thus causing the load to drop. The Golgi tendon organ is going to protect our muscles from, particularly our extrafusal fibers, from overloading. So we've talked a lot now about movement, reflexes, and two major reflexes that protect the muscles that allow us to move. Let's go a little bit more zoomed in, if you will, to see what are the molecular mechanisms behind muscle contraction. 1. Axons of the motor neurons form special types of synapses. We know them as neuromuscular junction, as well as this end of the motor end plate. The motor end plate contains the synaptic knobs of the axon. These are just the axon terminals, just another name for the motor neurons' axon terminals that will synapse upon the muscle cell. The end plate is a particular type of synapse at the neuromuscular junction. As we see here, again, our motor unit. Here are the synaptic bulbs, if you will, innervating the muscle cell. And if we take an even closer look, we see that, of course, calcium is required. That's going to allow for acetylcholine to be released, as we see here in this image. Acetylcholine, as you may remember from chapter 6, is the main neurotransmitter found at the neuromuscular junction. Once acetylcholine binds to its receptor, this opens up sodium channels, allowing for sodium to flow in, and this influx of current is going to allow for the muscle contraction. Remember that acetylcholine gets removed by acetylcholine esterase, breaking it down to choline, allowing it to not be able to activate the receptor and closing these sodium channels. In class, I showed a video, and I will put this video up on Blackboard. But essentially, this video denotes the importance of both acetylcholine as well as calcium inside the muscle cell coming from the sarcoplasmic reticulum and their critical jobs in muscle contraction. Why is calcium so important for muscle contraction? Well, In the muscle cells, it is made up of primarily actin, which are denoted by these gray balls here, as well as tropomyosin. And tropomyosin are these grayish curvy lines here. In the unstimulated muscle, where there is no calcium coming from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, the tropomyosin covers up the myosin binding sites of actin, Well, if myosin cannot bind to actin, the actin cannot be pulled along and the muscle cannot be contracted. When calcium comes in, it binds to troponin, shown here in red. Troponin has the ability to move the actin, move the tropomyosin, causing the myosin binding sites to be exposed. Myosin binding sites are exposed, myosin can come in and pull the actin along, allowing for contraction of the muscle. Again, this is more shown in detail in the video that I will post on Blackboard. I hope this video has helped you understand major thoughts of movement, as well as the major mechanisms allowing for muscle contraction. Thank you and have a great day.